So we're going to talk today about transformations, and there are four types of transformations, and today we're going to talk specifically about one, but let's talk about transformation in general. If I ask you to transform something, um, and think about transformers, they change shapes, right? They change to different objects. A transformation, by definition, is an operation that maps an original figure that we call the pre-image, okay, onto a new figure that we call the image. Okay? So the original figure is called the pre-image, and the new figure we call the image. Okay. So if we're looking at the graph over here to the left, you have two figures. You have this figure here of triangle A, B, C. Okay, and then you have this one that has the apostrophes over here of A, B, and C, but they have little apostrophes next to them. Those little apostrophes we call prime. Okay, so what that is the original figure in red. Okay, and I'm going to draw it over here. So triangle ABC. We call that the pre-image. It is the original figure. That is what we're moving. Okay, pre-image. So triangle ABC is the pre-image. The green triangle, triangle A prime, B prime, and C prime, that is called the image. That is the after the transformation has occurred. Okay, so a transformation, okay, a transformation here, we can change size. Okay. Okay, we can change the size. We can change the position. Okay, so size, we can change the position. And we can change the orientation, and that word should be familiar to, because think about a Word document. I can be in portrait mode or I can be in landscape mode, right? So that's different positions or orientations. Okay. Then we have this concept called a rigid motion. Okay. And a rigid motion is simply a transformation that keeps the size and shape of the pre-image. Okay, and there are three types of rigid, three types of transformations that have rigid motion, and those three types are a translation, which is what we're going to talk about today, a rotation, and a reflection. Okay, so those three are the only three types of rigid transformations that we can have. Okay. The one that we can't have is dilation. Okay, so today I told you we're going to talk specifically about translations. Okay, and a translation is to vertically / horizontally slide a figure. Okay, so to vertically or horizontally, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that it fits. slide a figure. Okay, so literally it is a slide. It's literally sliding across the picture. Okay, you have this thing called coordinate notation, and here's how it looks. They will always give you this. They'll give you x comma y, and then they'll do this, and they'll say x plus h, y plus k. Okay, h represents the horizontal movement. Okay, so horizontal movement. K represents the vertical movement. Okay, so this will make a lot more sense when we actually do an example. So let's go ahead and do an example. Okay, and they give me this figure. They tell me I have rectangle QRST with the vertices. So they tell me that Q is at -6, -1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at -1. So Q is here. They tell me R is at -3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. There's R. They tell me S is at 1, -5. 5. And they tell me T is -2, -7. Right here. So here is the pre-image. We call it the pre-image because this is the original figure. Okay, that's my original figure. Okay, and then they give us this rule right here. Here's my rule. They're saying that x is going to be +5, y is going to be +7. Well, think about it on an xy plane. Okay, I am going to add 5 to every single x value, so that's what it's going to say. So if I look for Q prime, I'm going to take the x value, which is -6, and I'm going to add 5 to it, which gives me -1. Okay, which if you think about it in terms of a graph, that means I'm going to slide 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there. The y value says that I'm going to take the original y, which is -1, and add 7 to it. When you do that, you get 6, which means you're going to slide 7 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is right here at Q prime. So the point for Q prime is -1, 6. Then you're going to do the same thing for each one of these. So let's talk about R prime. So it says take the x and add 6. Well, R's original x is -3, and I'm going to add 5 to it, which gives me +2. For the y, it says take the y value, which is 1, and add 7 to it. Well, 1 plus 7 gives me 8. So my point is at 2, 8. So here is R prime. Okay, so we got our Q prime. We've got our R prime. We need S prime. So S prime, same thing. The rule says take x, the original x, which is 1, and add 5 to it. Well, when you do that, you get 6. So that means the x value is going to be 6. Then take the y value, which is -5, and add 7 to it. Well, that is 2. So that means that my new S prime is at 6, 2. Which is right there. And then the last one would be T prime. And same idea. Take the original x of t, which is -2, and the rule says to add 5 to it, which gives me +3, so that's going to be my x value. Then it's the y value says take the original y value, which is -7, and add 7 to it, which gives me 0. So that means that t prime is at 3, 0, which is right there. And you can see that now I have my new rectangle, and all I did was literally slide it diagonally. That's why we say it's sliding it, because it's just moving it diagonally. Okay, let's do the next one. So it says I have a triangle CDE with the vertices at 2, -1. So here's C. D is at 7, -4. Which is right here. And E is at 4, -6. Which is right here. So here is my triangle. Okay. Here's my rule. My rule says that each x, I'm going to subtract 3 from it. Each y, I'm going to add 8. So let's go ahead and start with C prime. Okay, so to find C prime, I'm going to take the x first, my original x, which is 2, and subtract 3, which gives me -1, which would be my new x. Then the y value, it says take the original, which is -1, and add 8 to it. -1 plus 8 gives me 7, so that's my new y. So there's my point, -1, 7. So here is my C prime. And we do the same thing for D prime. Okay, it takes the original x, which is 7, and subtract 3 from it, which gives me 4. Then for the y value, which is -4, it says I'm going to add 8 to the y value, which gives me +4. So my point is at 4, 4. Which is right here. And then lastly, E prime, I'll come down here for it. E prime says take the original x of E, which is 4, and we're subtracting 3 from it, which gives me 1, so that's my new x. Then take the original y, which is -6, and add 8 to it, which gives me 2. So my point of E prime is at 1, 2, which is right here. Okay, and you can see I didn't change the size or the shape of it. All I did was slide it up and over. Okay.